Hello?
What's your least favorite scary movie?
Cut what off? Welcome to Watching Least Favorite Scary Movie, the podcast where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the absurd in all of our favorite
And least favorite.
scary movies.
Because we believe every horror movie rightfully has its fan base.
Even if we don't always get it.
My name is Travis.
My name's Jesse, and we're talking about the ruins today, y'all. Before that, do I have an announcement?
We had our Patreon episode.
Yes, budget tier patrons or folks that choose to purchase a single bonus episode may do so on the Patreon. Link is at the very bottom of our show notes. We did a commentary track to Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, for the day. It was the Return of the Living Dead day on
Yes.
July 3rd. So we did that.
Yes.
Yeah, and we did it at the exact same time that the movie starts, too.
Yes.
It's kind of cool.
It was really fun. We had a good time with it. We always have a good time with that movie, though. So go ahead, go check that out if it interests you.
Mhm.
Do we have poll results?
We do.
All right.
Last week, we talked about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2003 remake. And
That's a perfect chainsaw sound.
I thought that was somebody outside using a chainsaw. So, I mean, it's an easy poll this week. We just did, does the remake hold up for you as a remake?
Okay.
And 71% of people say yes, and 29% say no.
Okay.
So it does have its haters out there, but I do see a lot of support for that online, and it seems to be true for people on our feed at least.
Okay.
I agree. I think that, I mean, obviously, I raved about that movie in our episode about it. I love that movie.
I have some problems with it, which I discussed. But I think if I had to go on the binary, gun to my head, choose yes or no, I'd probably choose yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think objectively, it's a good way to do a remake.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it did okay. I think it missed some of the spirit of the original.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah. All right. Are we
Okay.
ready to talk about the ruins?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited for this.
Okay. So the ruins premiered April 4th, 2008. We actually, just on a lark went to Half Price Books. I know, shocking from us.
Mhm.
We found it on DVD. So this is our first time watching the unrated version.
Yeah, didn't really expect much from that.
Yes. So if you have the option between the R-rated theatrical release or the unrated, go for the unrated because it adds some stuff.
Yeah, like a lot. Like it was weird. We were both looking at each other like, did this happen?
We
Do you
never
remember
saw this before.
Yeah.
Did the lamplighter get a hand job?
Yeah,
Don't remember this.
Did he just come? He did.
But right now you can, if you don't own it, you can stream it on Shudder, AMC Plus, Sling TV Premium, Prime Premium, Philo Premium, or YouTube TV Premium.
I'm sorry. That's the funny thing though. Like that's the thing that a lot of people hope for when you get unrated cut, like somebody getting a hand job or something like that, like the sex stuff. And then this movie actually weirdly delivers on it.
Yeah, except like
it's not good though. It's not like, I mean, it's good. It's just it's not sexy.
I saw something online that described it as like an added sex scene, but an incredibly chaste sex scene because you see the hand, you see the motions, you see his face.
Yeah, and then there's just also Amy in there with them.
Yeah, well, then it cuts to Amy sitting outside like, man, this is not cool.
Weird.
You can also rent it from YouTube, Google Play, Apple TV, or Fandango at home. Written by Scott Smith, who also wrote the book. Directed by Carter Smith, no relation. Music by Grim Ravel. Special effects makeup. The prosthetics supervisor was a person named Jason Baird, but we also got some special effects credit to Charmaine Connolly and Jake Garber. Starring Sean Ashmore as Eric, Jenna Malone as Amy, Jonathan Tucker as Jeff, Laura Ramsey as Stacy, and Joe Anderson as Matthias Travis.
Yes.
Time for our favorite game.
Budget or Bughead? I am gonna say Bughead.
Okay. Even with all of those handmade leaves.
It's a lot of leaves, yeah. And also, like, I thought about it for a second, too, because, like, Ben Stiller...
all of those fake legs.
Ben Stiller was involved in the production, too. I feel like he would throw some money at this type of shit. But no, I think they still recognize that this is a horror movie, and, like, they did it because it's, like, a good return on investment.
You are correct.
Okay.
$8 million budget. Opening box office, $8 million. Worldwide gross, $22.8 million.
Okay.
IMDb score, as of now, sits at 5.9 out of 10.
Wow, only 5.9.
I know.
I thought this was, like, a lot more loved by the people.
I have some theories.
Okay.
it's actually not really important to anything I'll discuss later. It's kind of important to what I'll discuss later, but I can point it out now. I think because the book was very well known and very well loved, and this came out so closely after the book, I think people were a little bit frustrated at the differences between the book and the movie.
Well, I feel like if you have the person that wrote the book writing the movie, I feel like that person would know what to cut and what not to. I think that they're probably the best judge of that.
Yes. And those are the thoughts that I'll get into.
Okay.
In a tad bit.
Okay, gotcha.
Of time.
Yeah.
Okay. I pulled 3 other movies from 2008. And my theme is nature is gross and scary.
Ooh. Was that a theme of this time, I guess?
I guess so. So the first one is called The Hive. What about nature do you think that's about?
Bees.
It is not. It's about ants.
What?
I know. I had to make a special note of that because that shocked me.
Do you ever call like a group of ants a hive?
No, they're a colony.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I thought that sounded strange.
it's very confusing.
Huh.
That premiered February 17th, 2008. I don't have a budget or a gross for it, but it's got a 3.2 out of 10 on IMDb.
Ooh, okay.
Second movie.
What?
It's also about killer plants.
Okay.
The Happening.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one for this right here. Very, very similar.
That premiered June 13th, 2008. Budget of $48 million because Shyamalan.
Jesus.
Worldwide gross of $163 million because Shyamalan.
Yeah.
And it has an IMDb score of 5.0 out of 10.
Wow, it's got a 5.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised. A little bit.
Don't you mean what?
No.
And the third movie, Anaconda 3 Offspring.
Ooh, okay. So is Snake is nature in that? Mother Nature.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know who is starring in this one?
3?
Yeah.
It's not Ice Cube, is it?
No.
No, I have no idea.
David Hasselhoff.
Oh, what the fuck? That doesn't make it. I don't like that. That I don't take that movie seriously, but then again, I probably should.
Yeah, no, it's Anaconda 3. So
watch the first one for the first time. It wasn't as bad as you made it out to be.
So boring.
It's okay.
It's boring.
It's okay.
So Anaconda 3 released July 26, 2008. We're almost at its birthday. I don't have a budget or a gross for it, even with the Hoff associated with it.
Yeah, it's not much.
Yeah.
I can guarantee that.
Do you want to guess the IMDb score?
2.5.
2.8.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. I've got a tagline.
Okay.
Terror has evolved.
That's lame.
There was another book that I read. I almost said ran. That I read around this time, and it was about a kind of like a reality TV show, but with marine biologists, and they were looking for some island, and this island was so far away from everything else that it evolved separately, and all of the species were like super killer, like super evolved to immediately kill everything.
Yeah.
And when I hear Terror has evolved, I think of that book instead of this one.
That sounds way more fitting.
Yeah.
What exactly evolved here? Is it just like the plant?
Vines, I guess.
Okay. Could have done way, way better than that.
Yeah.
That's generic for this kind of movie.
Yeah, so we're going to have to... We've got our work cut out for us. We've got nothing that we're starting from with it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Speaking of nature evolving in a way that it shouldn't, this film was shot in Queensland, Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you're going to film something about murder plants, why wouldn't it be in Australia?
Well, I thought it was going to be LA because I saw, like, you were watching the special features, and I saw, like, in the background, you could see, like, a cityscape back there. And I was like, okay, they probably just went out into the hills in LA or whatever.
I mean, Australia has cities.
Yeah, I know, but, like, most movies are made in Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is actually picked up by Ben Stiller's production company, Red Hour Films. They bought the rights based on the book outline, and this was before Scott B. Smith had even finished writing the book. And they told him that they wanted to buy the rights for it and have him write the screenplay before he had even finished writing the book. So he was writing the last, like, third of the book with the fact in mind that he was going to be adapting it to a screenplay.
How does that even happen? Like, how do they catch wind of the story before the story's even released?
So according to the special features I was watching, it looks like he sent them the outline.
So he was like looking for this.
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think this wasn't his first screenplay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not his first novel nor his first screenplay. So
Nor
I think
his rodeo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he's
done this
all
before.
of these. Yes. And they also like to use fairly new directors. So they got Carter Smith involved because, they're trying to think of who they want to have direct it and what kind of tone they want to have for the movie. And somebody brought up this movie called Bug Crush by a first-time director. And it was actually by Carter Smith. And it had the tone that they really wanted. And they're like, all right, cool, let's bring him in for this.
Cool. I like that they bring in fresh talent for that type of thing.
Yeah, and I think he was actually a very good person to do this because he is also a photographer. He really loves natural light, and that's so much of what this movie is because they wanted to shoot it on location. They didn't want to build it in a set or a studio because they wanted to be able to work with the natural light. They wanted the actors to really feel the elements of things. They wanted that single location for that sense of isolation. And I think all of that also ties in really well to how the special effects are done because those are mostly practical and it really got the actors like freaked out seeing and feeling stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, so a lot of the production of this film, like watching these extras, this behind the scenes stuff gave me a new love and appreciation for this movie.
I like it when they put that kind of care into it.
Yeah. So speaking of putting in that kind of care, they designed these vines based off of elements of real life plants. So there are plants that are carnivorous and will follow like the scent of blood. There are plants that will do like mimicking to like trick its prey.
That's so weird.
There are plants that will like, deposit and pick up on skin and clothing. So they were really trying to pull from real life elements, and their thought process was once they get to the ruins, this vine is in every single shot of the movie for the rest of the movie.
That's
so they
crazy.
wanted it to be something that was like based on reality. And they were even thinking about things like, how does this plant photosynthesize and feed? Like, what kind of conditions does it need? And if you watch it, like as it's going, you'll see that the more like blood it consumes, we see more of those red flowers.
Whoa, I never.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Huh.
And they had 12 people in a little workshop just building these vines by hand. And they had to do so many tests first to try and get the leaves just right. So what they did was they based the leaves and the vines themselves, their look, that is, off of pumpkin vines. Because they're like, nobody's afraid of a pumpkin vine. Like, and they want the characters to not have a reason to question, like, just walking into, like, this pile of vines on these ruins. And they're like, who's afraid of a pumpkin vine? We all go to, like, pumpkin patches every year. Like, that's no big deal. Except when they were making them... And then they did a camera test. The texture made it look too reptilian and it wasn't picking up right on camera. So they ended up having to like keep adjusting the thickness of it and the texture of it until it looked right on camera, which I can totally relate to doing like my own cosplays and special effects. Something I will like look from screen onto whatever I'm working on in front of me. And I'm like, this is perfect and exactly how it looks. But then when I'm like taking photos of it as a finished product, I'm like, well, this isn't translating well at all.
That's tough, man. Especially, I can only imagine how difficult it was to make all those too. Yeah,
and it really fucks with your head when you're like, this isn't what this thing actually looks like, but this is gonna look best on camera. Like it's just really kind of insane to think about. And I even had to think about like, because they're like, if you look at like leaves on a tree when sun shines through it, like it almost has a glow from within. So they had to get that same effect on these leaves.
Damn,
so
dude.
These vines are all practical. The only stuff that's CGI'd is when they are moving. So like when we see it, like, the little thing,
it's like wrapping around them,
yeah,
and
when it's
them
wrapping around them, when they're like ringing the cell phone or talking, things like that. And to get the actors to react just right, like they would sometimes like sneak up behind them, like poke them with a stick, so that way they jump.
That's good.
Yeah, so I think that was all like really, really cool. They also had a lot of work with the special effects. There are so many fake legs that are involved in this.
They are gnarly looking, man.
Yes.
They did a great job.
And Carter Smith gave the special effects team a real challenge because he wanted to be able to cut Amy's leg, then roll her over and cut her back in that scene where they're pulling the vines out. He wanted to be able to do that all in a single shot and not have cuts taken away. And Jason Baird was like, that's not how we normally do it.
Yeah.
So they had a challenge to try and figure out how to do it. And basically, like, they had a fake leg propped up and they had her sitting in such a way that they could, you know, cut into the fake leg, pull out the vine, and then roll her over. And she had like a back like strapped to her that would release blood when it was cut and would have a vine inside that they could pull out. So they had her like positioned in such a way that they could do all of that without having to cut away.
Wow. Some nifty camera work too probably helps.
Yeah. So there was so much that went into this that it really fascinating to watch all of it. Also, like, another fun little thing is that it was freezing cold, which is not fun for the actors,
No.
but to make them look sweaty, they would spray them with olive oil.
What the fuck?
So that's what they
Olive
were
oil?
using. Yeah, they were using olive oil to make them look sweaty. And they actually used oil in a different kind of way too. When they did the amputation on Matthias, they sprayed the silicone legs with frying oil, and they actually had the pan was red hot. So when they pressed it up against the stump, it made that sizzling sound and burned the prosthetic so it would look
That's awesome,
burned.
man.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man. They did a great job with all this
Yes.
stuff.
And then, so another challenge about shooting on location was, even though, you know, you would think like Australia, light all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, because of where they were shooting. There was a mountain, so the sun would be behind the mountain by about 2:33 in the afternoon. So they would have to start their night shoots like early in the afternoon just because of the way the lighting was.
That sucks.
And that also meant that they had to start their day shoots really early in the
yeah,
day.
yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. That's one of the things you got to look for when you do scouting.
Yeah.
Right there.
And then also the entire cast and crew were very familiar with the book. So the movie was announced shortly after the book came out, so there was a lot of hype about it. And Carter Smith was actually on vacation. He said he had the book. He was about 30 pages in. He was like, this is my vacation book. I'm very excited about it. Da, 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 da. He gets a call from Red Hour Films, and they want him as the director. And
That's
he's
awesome.
like, I'm reading it.
That's crazy.
And then the whole cast, they all read the book, because there are differences. There are quite a few differences between the book and the movie, especially in what character actions are taken. So they were doing a lot of like picking up on the characters from the books and also from one another and how they were having to reinterpret those kinds of things. And they were given a lot of room for like improv and interpretation, and they could put their own input in to really kind of like adapt those characters the way they needed to.
Wow.
So this was definitely like a production of labor and love.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
And they definitely had the right team for this, because it sounds like they went with like the right attitude and effort.
Yeah, he said that because they were trying not to sell it so much like a straight up horror film, because none of them really thinks of it that way. They're like, yes, there are horror elements, but this is a survival movie. You know, and one of the things that they really talked about was like every act of violence that happened was like actually out of an act of caring, it just going wrong.
Yeah, I heard them talk about that. I overheard that part, and it almost felt like they were trying to like not label it a horror movie. Like they were like afraid of that label for some reason, which I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, it is a horror movie, like whether they wanted it to be or not. I mean, it ended up being one.
And as a horror fan, I fully own this as the horror genre, but I get it from where they're coming from, where that's a production company that hasn't done horror before.
Yeah.
And they were having trouble getting people involved because a lot of people hear horror, don't take it seriously. Mm-hmm. And Carter Smith was like, but we didn't want those people anyway.
That's a great attitude.
Yeah.
Right there.
So that's a lot of facts,
That was
a lot
awesome,
of fun.
though. That was really good stuff.
And I'm ready to start talking about it.
Okay, cool. Good, bad, ugly, and absurd.
Yeah.
Alrighty. All right, so the good for this. I like the characters in this right here. I think that we have a good group of like realistic people. I think that really helps you connect with the characters. I like how they're all brought there together. Like you relate to that whole thing of like, I'm here because this is my girlfriend's friend, or, you know, whatever. Like, don't really care about this other guy, but we kind of have to be friends based off of the circumstances. And, you know, like it's something you can relate to.
Yeah.
And it kind of adds some like depth to like the moments and everything. You know, like it puts, like, if you think about their relationship, you kind of like analyze their behaviors and actions a little bit differently, because they're not, you know, looking at this as like close friends or anything.
Yeah. And I think it's especially interesting when you look at the relationship dynamics, like when you see say Amy and Eric and Stacy and Jeff, like they have a different kind of relationship to one another than Jeff and Eric have to each other.
Yeah.
Because like you can imagine it. You're around your partner's best friend a lot more than your partner's best friend's partner. And I think that's really interesting the way they showed that.
Yeah. Another thing, I mean, I like the threat in this movie. Like the vines are really, really creepy. And I like that the buildup works for this. Like you don't really learn that until like halfway through the movie, but you don't really need to because like the way that it starts, like they go there and then they're suddenly like surrounded by these group of locals that have a completely different language.
Yeah,
They don't
they're
even
they're
speak-
Mayan.
Yeah, they don't even speak like Spanish.
Yeah.
So like there's no getting through to them. And you're just being held captive there on these ruins and you can see like people have had this happen to them before. There's like tents set up at the top and then you can hear phone ringing and like there's like bodies and shit, you know? Like it's really good. And then like when you do get that reveal of like the vines, especially when it's inside her skin and they like rip it out and they just like tear it out. Oh my God. It's just like so visceral. It's effective. It hits that like something about it. Like it kind of like hits your animalistic side. I don't know like how to describe that.
For me, and this held up in the book, and I think the unrated version did the build up to it a little bit better. It's when they find out that the vine is mimicking the phone ringing. In the R-rated version, it's kind of a letdown. Like we don't have the same kind of build up, but in this one, like they're really looking, they're searching, they find this dead archaeologist, and then like they get really close, they see the vine doing it, and then it attacks them.
Yeah.
And that's a lot more similar to how it is in the book. And that's like the moment where I'm like, oh God, this isn't just like a hungry plant, it's a mean plant.
That was one of the things because like I forgot about that part and I was just thinking to myself, damn, like fuck, what's his name? Heinrich, his brother, is like, damn, it's got a good battery life. That phone has been going for days and it has been trucking along.
Can you imagine if it was me though?
Yeah, yours would. I would know right away if I'm still hearing that phone. Like something's wrong. Jesse's phone's got to be dead by now. But yeah, and like the final good thing I have to say is I love the attention to detail, especially with like their clothing as the movie goes on, because like it starts off and they get like little pieces of it on them, but by the end of the movie, you can see like most of their clothes are just like mossy.
Yes. That was actually one of the good things that I wrote down was like that attention to detail and the set dressing and everything. It's not even just on their clothes, but like you'll notice when they're doing the like mini surgery on Stacy, like their hands have the moss on them too.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, and they don't really have a way to wash it off because they had that one rainstorm which was cut out.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like you wonder in this movie because they make water rationing such a big part at the very beginning, but then it's never discussed again. Like they get rain and they get more water, so that's like a thing that happened.
But yeah, that attention to detail I think was really great. And then like we said, talking about how they were able to adapt the relationships. So here's the thing, and this was something that I had to learn and grow with as a person who enjoys books and movies, right? Is that if you're going to adapt a book to a movie, you have to understand that you do not have the same length of time to tell the same story.
Yeah, you got like 2 hours, 3 hours max, but that's pushing.
That's pushing it. It has to be an incredible, like that has to be an opus. You know what I mean? So I like one of the things that you have to do is sometimes you give a character action to a different character from the movie to the book, or from the book to the movie. So we can, in the book, it's the Greek that falls down. Dimitri. Okay. He falls down and breaks his back. He doesn't speak any English, so they don't know what's going on. When they amputate him, they don't have his consent.
Oh.
And that's a lot more intense, but we've had this buildup of those different relationships. We've already started to see Jeff kind of like rubbing people the wrong way a lot more than we've seen in the book. Like there's much more of a buildup to Jeff being this person that seems almost sociopathic in this setting.
Yeah.
Whereas if we did it in the movie, it goes from Jeff being a little bit bossy to all of a sudden just like chopping people's legs off, which is a huge jump. Whereas in this, we do have Matthias's consent, but then he starts to say no because he is feeling it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't stop Jeff. So we see that de-evolution a little bit better. And those are the types of changes that you have to make in a movie to tell the same heart of the story without, having 500 pages of script like you would have 500 pages of a novel.
I'm glad that you could make that connection, though, because, I can't speak to it. I've not read the book, but I did like that part of his character where, like, he's a med student and he is, like, the most responsible of the group, and he feels like he is the one that has to take charge.
Yeah.
And he's, like, making all these decisions, and some of them like feel like they have to trust him because he's like the only one that could maybe know what he's talking about. Because I mean, he's, like I get the impression that these people, like the friends there, are all there like having good times.
Yeah.
Like, they're not taking like school quite as seriously. But he's in med school, so it's like, oh no, he might be.
Except I gotta take Eric's side on this. He got into med school. He had not started yet.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, his character kind of becomes like a little smug, and he's like a little entitled, and he thinks that he's like, I don't know, like he thinks that he knows best for everybody.
And I think with Jonathan Tucker being our common thread, this was kind of what I was talking about last week with Texas Chainsaw. Was, we had Jessica Biel as like this morally superior character, and there was no like levels to everybody else in the group.
Yeah, we
see those levels in this group. Yeah, and we see
nobody
levels within Jeff as a character, too.
Yeah, no, except I wouldn't really say any of the other three are responsible people. Like, none of the other three in this situation are responsible. But I think that they have, like, better takes on things.
They have a lot more emotional maturity.
Yeah.
Like, Stacy, like, recognizing that Amy's cheating is hella fucked, but also being like, she's also really freaked out because she's been with Jeff for a million years and he's about to move across the country.
Yeah.
Like, there's an element of emotional maturity there that I think is really great. So yeah, I think, I mean,
I wouldn't necessarily call like recognizing cheating and be like, but it's okay because of this. It's like a mature.
I don't think, I'm not saying that like I think the hand waving it away is really great. I'm saying like I feel like it's written in a really human way, and it's written as not like super black and white.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's also like a realistic situation for people that have been best friends for years to kind of like not want to see this shittiest side of their best friend.
Yeah, I can get that. Yeah.
And also, yeah, I agree. I like this villain. It's this Vine. We don't understand it. There's a lot of nature that we don't fucking understand. And as human beings, we tend to be really arrogant. And this is really fucking scary to me. And I think Travis will tell you, I don't like vines to this day. I don't like plants that have vines. I don't like seeing them around. I don't like the vines that crawl up our house. I'm like, we need to get rid of these. Yeah, but you know what I don't like on pumpkins?
What?
Vines.
Yeah, okay. So you disagree with what they said before. You are terrified of the pumpkin vines.
Yeah, well, it's all vines, really.
Okay.
Yeah, so like if nature can be a rope, that's just begging for trouble. So yeah, I think that this movie like really works for me, and I love the book. So if you're curious about the book, I would absolutely recommend it. I read it probably a dozen times when it came out.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do some bad stuff.
Let's do some bad.
I really didn't have a lot of bad things to say about this movie, but there was one thing that I was curious. Like, it was weird. Like, the plant kind of picks and chooses like when it wants to be a threat, just based on when the story needs it. It's inconsistent.
It's a predator. It's a hunter. Yeah, it is.
What is it? What does it have to hunt? The prey is there trapped. It's not going anywhere. Like, it's fucking with it. It's playing with its food, but like it's not at the same time. Like, it comes across as like incompetent, inconsistent. It's weird. Like, just finish the fucking job, plant.
It's being a rascal. It's a little scamp. It is playing with its food, like you said. Have you ever seen a cat kill a mouse?
Yeah, but I think cats are way different than plants. I mean,
you're one of those arrogant humans that would be killed by this vine because you think you know more than nature.
Who's surviving this vine? Realistically, nobody's going to survive this vine. The only way to survive is just not even encounter it.
You're Heinrich. You're gone before the rest of the group even gets there because you're like, ooh, it's just a plant.
Well, my cell phone fucking rules. It's got the best battery life, so I can live with that trade-off. I mean, I see. I figured you would probably say that, but I mean, you don't see like plants being like sentient or anything like that. Like, they don't have like a mind. Like, they just like act on impulse.
That's what makes this scary.
So like the impulse is like always kill in its case, so it's gonna kill. You don't see like a fucking Venus flytrap just like yapping away over there or anything. You know, like it eats just like when something lands on it because that's just its instinct.
Yeah, but that's what makes these vines scary is that they are mean. That was one of my good points that I brought up. They're not just killer, they're mean. How would you feel if in Halloween there was no like, oh, I'm just gonna chase Lori and I'm just gonna pop that in the closet? Like, what?
Michael Myers is not a fucking plant. He's a goddamn human being. Don't Loomis him. You're being Sam Loomis to him right now. You dehumanized that man. You became what you hated.
I didn't demonize him though.
That doesn't matter.
I'm just saying, like, look, it's not a normal plant. You need to not think of it like that.
You just it's what it needs to be. That's
It's
my
a-
whole point.
it's a rascal.
It needs to be. If it needs to be a killer, it's going to be a killer. If it needs to be a little rascal, it's going to be a rascal. That's it.
It's a rascally killer. It's both. It's playing with its food. It's having fun.
Okay. Well,
It gets no enrichment otherwise, Travis.
so it has to have the fun.
Yeah.
See, now I had like a little thing in my head when you were talking about a little thing in my head. I thought
Those are little things.
they're rarely big things for me. They're usually little things, but like the way that you described how like it evolved over time and like the leaves or like the flowers became more red, I was like, okay, maybe it's like feeding. It starts weak and then it gets stronger the longer the humans are present. But like it was pretty freshly fed when they arrived because of Heinrich and the archaeologists. So I don't think that that's the case. I could have given you that out, but they didn't allow that to happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your bad then?
My bad. Honestly, I'm just gonna say I don't like some of the stuff that the rated version cuts out. Like it takes away some of the tension from it, and I get 2008 ratings were different than how we rate movies in 2025. But it did take away a lot of the tension from the book, you know, and even in this unrated version, there were a couple of scenes, like we cut out the rain scene and we don't even like have a passing mention of it. So it's like you said, we like see like the water bottle being passed around. We're like, they're taking decent sized gulps. Like, how is there still water?
Yeah. I mean, it's not even really brought up again, though. After that one discussion, that's the last they mention it.
Yeah. And we don't really get a whole lot. Yeah. And like, that's the thing, too, is that you would expect like, with the heat and the direct sun exposure, you'd expect to be seeing a lot more effects of dehydration a lot faster.
Yeah.
Especially after Jeff had his whole spiel about like each of us needs half a gallon of water per day if we're sitting on our fat asses like you guys wanted to do at the resort.
Like
I just assume he said that part like off camera.
You'd see Jeff like pissing directly in his mouth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm surprised he didn't have people like collecting their pee. To
It's like, I know we got plenty of
Yeah.
water, guys, but still, let's try
Yeah.
and pee in each other's mouths. He's like really trying to like. He's like, this is my moment. Like I can finally do this.
What is your ugly?
Let's see. Just like the imagery of the vines inside of them. It's some of the most
Ugh.
disturbing shit you'll see. Like seeing it squirm around under the skin, and anytime they have to like cut open the skin and just like yank it out, it's so fucking disgusting.
My ugly is it's the group dynamics. And I feel like it's realistic the way everything kind of like combusts, but
Yeah.
it's ugly to watch. And like you've got Jeff who will be like, all right, we've got no choice. We just have to cut this man's legs off. But also they're like, all right, we need to try and come up with an escape plan. He's like, no, absolutely not. We're not even going to entertain that idea. The Greeks will be here tomorrow.
I liked his whole thing there. He's like, we're American. They'll be here. It's like, come on, man. They don't give a fuck about you.
Also, like, how do you know anybody's going to know where you went? Like, how are they going to know to ask these Greek gentlemen who... Does anybody know that you have a connection to them? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well,
how is
Dimitri.
this investigation going to work?
Dimitri was their connection.
Yeah, but like, how are they going to know to start with
There.
Dimitri? Yeah.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then absurd. Probably the most absurd thing is that weird hand job scene for me. I don't know. Why was that the time for that? The time and place. It was weird.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that wasn't a deleted scene.
Yeah.
They kept it in the unrated cut. Like I like it for the absurdity, but like just like if I'm actually thinking about it, that was just so bizarre. And one of the other things is like how little they protected this one thing that they do not want anybody to make contact with. These people like have absolutely zero protections. They put a fucking leaf on the trail and like that'll deter. That'll do just fine right there. But like, Americans and like a German dude and a Greek dude come walking over there and like, oh shit, now we just gotta surround it. And like, why not have like fucking fences or like, like just do something.
Yeah, if I saw a trail with like a branch in front of it, I'd be like,
Weather, rain,
nature.
yeah, like something like a broken limb, something like that.
My absurd, and this is one of my favorite things that I laugh my ass off every time we watch this movie, is they hear the ringing from within the dig site of the ruins. And Matthias goes, "That's Heinrich's phone." And they're like, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's his ringtone. I have the same one." That's the ringtone that came installed on the phone, dum-dum.
Yeah. I like to imagine they picked it together, though.
It's just like a...
It's the most basic ringtone. Yeah. Anybody could have had that, especially in 2008.
Yeah.
Although that was the time when people were really getting big into Bluetooth and ringtones to each other.
Oh, man. I had personalized ringtones for everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was like the shit, man. On school buses, like, get back there, like, all right, what's your ringtone? Just like, send it to me. Yeah. Just back and forth. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we should rate this thing. Yeah.
I suppose we should.
Yeah, I really like this movie. And I'm just going to say, yeah, the unrated cut, definitely the way to watch it.
Absolutely.
Surprisingly. If you can find a way to do that, I recommend it. It upped it for me. So I'm going to give it an 8.5.
I'm going to give it a 9.
Ooh, okay.
So we've got a starting average of 8.75.
Nice. All right.
So we start off with a woman sitting inside of a ruin. She's crying. She's calling for help. She's trying to use her phone. That's not working, of course. And then pulled into darkness. So, fuck her.
Yep, that's...
We're going to cut to a resort instead. And we're going to see Stacy beating Jeff and Jen. And she says, now we're going to play war. And he goes, war is not a real game. And then she goes, this is your rule. Who the winner picks the next game. I get the feeling Jeff is not a lot of fun.
He's the sore loser. Yeah, like he didn't want to play the game. He didn't want to play by his own rules here.
Yeah, I mean, war is like, it's mostly a game of chance, but it's also a game of like quick reactions. Like you
how's
have
that
to
not?
go
Yeah,
with
how's that not a real game?
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
Because he wants to be able to use his intellect.
No, yeah, outsmart everybody. Yeah. They're all just like chilling, having a good time. They're on vacation at a resort in
Mexico. I think?
Yeah, I don't know, but Amy lost one of her earrings.
Which don't wear like hook earrings in a pool. That's just asking for trouble. But it's okay because Matthias found it. What was he looking for at the bottom of the pool? Nobody knows.
How did he know it was hers? Was he just like walking around? Did he find this earring and just like doing laps around the pool, just like overhearing? He actually stole the
earring and he was waiting to hear her freak out about it.
Yeah.
He's been stalking them this whole week. They all introduce each other. Stacy and Amy are best friends. Jeff is dating Amy. Eric is dating Stacy, so they don't actually really know each other, but that's all good. Matthias was here with his brother. His brother disappeared off with some archaeologists who was going to this ruin. Is off the map, so it's not like super well known. And Jeff is like, oh hey, I really wanted to go check out some ruins. We don't get to see these very often. He's like, well, I'm gonna go look for Heinrich tomorrow. Do you want to come? And they end up convincing the others to go along too.
And it's a special ruins because it's off the map. Yes. And it's one that, uncharted, so it makes it extra appealing for the group.
Which means that none of these people has ever seen a horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fucking makings of like a just don't do that shit
it's
situation.
One thing for an archaeologist to go to an unmapped ruin. That's their job.
This is kind of like the 47 meters down uncaged situation right here, except above ground.
It's kind of like The Descent.
Yeah, this is like a combination of those two movies. Yeah.
So, except this is an ascent.
Yeah, the ascent.
Yeah. And then we also get a trio of Greek bubbies splashing around. They're going to come too, but Matthias is not sure that they will be sober enough come morning.
Yeah. So we cut to nighttime. They're all just kind of sitting at the beach.
Yeah, it's a beach party.
And Jeff is a buzzkill.
He really is.
Amy's wanting to dance, and he's just like, I'm not feeling it. I'm going to go to bed.
But dance with your girlfriend when she wants to dance with you.
Yeah, man, come on. Like, even as somebody, I don't dance. But, if you want to dance, I'll dance with you. Yeah, it's fine. It's fun. It's good stuff. But no, he's a fucking buzzkill.
Especially because you're about to go away to med school. Like, do you not want to have this as like a good vacation memory with her before you're gone and most likely going to break up?
He's like that episode.
I don't see them working in a long distance relationship.
He's that episode of Seinfeld with Bob Odenkirk where he's like, "That's the dream of a doctor, to break up with the person that you were with whenever you become a doctor." Like,
Exactly.
that's Amy's that girl. Like as soon as he's gonna be a doctor, he drops her.
Yep.
Except he's already doing it as soon as he got accepted into med school. It's like, I'm a doctor technically.
Yeah, he's like, I don't
I'm
actually
already
need to
there,
do the things you want to do. This is our one last hurrah, so I can say I did something for you before we break up.
Yeah.
And Amy says, you know what? I'm going to get drunk and I'm going to kiss Matthias.
Yep.
Stacy goes and breaks them up because she doesn't want her friend to make poor life choices.
I think she's also embarrassed because she had more faith in her. And then Eric was immediately like, all right, so bet on if she kisses him or not. Yeah.
So in the morning, Jeff is that asshole who goes for an early morning run on vacation.
Fuck that guy.
On the beach even, which is higher resistance. It's a harder run. Like
Yeah.
he didn't even go that nice ass hotel definitely had a gym.
I know, yeah.
He
It
wasn't
had
even he was too good for the treadmill.
It fucking had like a lap, like a track in there, sure.
Yeah. He couldn't even just like swim laps in the pool. No. He had to go.
How else
Run
are
on the
people going to
beach.
see him do his exercises?
Jeff is the worst.
Yeah, he is. He bumps into Matthias.
Matthias.
Yeah, and he's eating breakfast and he gets a map for the ruins and he's like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll go rally the troops.
Dimitri is awake and sober. His buddies are not, so they're leaving a copy of the map for them to come follow and join them later.
Yeah.
Stacy is trying to get Eric to get ready. Amy is super hungover and trying to back out. She's like, I just want to stay here in the hotel. And at first, Jeff is like, come on, this is a once in a lifetime experience. Valid. And he goes, don't you want something to take pictures of other than the beach and the pool? Okay. The beach and the pool. The beach and the pool. Okay, now you're patronizing.
Yeah. Yeah, he was butthurt about them not wanting to do any adventuring and just like hang out at the beach and the pool, which is, I mean, it's what people do on vacation,
It's
man.
what people do on vacation. Look, I get it. I would love to go see a ruin, not one that's off the map. That seems sketchy.
Yeah.
But like, I would love to go see a ruin, but that's the type of person I am on vacation. I wouldn't vacation with somebody who is like, I want to stay in the resort and then go to a place where I want to visit nature. No, if we're going to be a resort staying vacation couple, we're going to just go to a place where we're fine with staying at the resort.
That's the point of going to a resort.
Don't be an asshole to your girlfriend because she's got different interests than you. You can say, hey, will you please experience this thing with me? It's important. But you did not dance with her last night, so does she really owe it to you?
So anyways, they're all rallied, they're all ready to go, and they make it on the bus. They arrive in this town, and this is where they need to get a further ride to the ruins.
About 8 kilometers to the start of their hike. They're taking a taxi that's a truck with a dog. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. And Stacy and Amy buy hats.
Yeah,
I like
cowboy
it.
hats.
I relate.
Why do you buy a cowboy hat in Mexico? Get a sombrero. I mean, that's the whole point, right?
I mean, they're going hiking, and I don't feel like a sombrero is like ideal for hiking in the woods.
It protects you from the sun. That's the whole
but
point.
it's a wide brim. Like the cowboy hat like folds up on the side.
Okay, whatever. You thought about this a lot more than I did.
Well, I relate to them buying the hats. So
Okay.
obviously I've thought about this. They get there, they have to hike another 4 kilometers. Amy's upset. Nobody told her this. She's wearing flip-flops.
Sandals, yeah.
She is blistered. Her feet are ruined.
Yeah, she's fucked.
The driver doesn't want to take them.
Yeah, they
also.
have to bribe him.
Yeah, he's like, that place is no good. I will take you to this other ruin, very popular tourist spot. And they're like, no!
So they arrive and they have done their hike and they make it to a certain point and they notice that there are these children that are just watching them off in the distance, which that's fucking creepy.
What's even weirder is that instead of them going, wow, why are there children alone in the woods? They go, oh, they must be locals. Can you guys help us?
Yeah, and they just like stare at her. Like,
They're children.
Yeah. And then they like look over and they're like, oh, here's a plant in the way of this trail. This means this is the way to go.
Why are there plants in these woods?
Yeah. And like they're like, okay, we must not go this way. There's a plant here.
Amy's like, this is a sure sign of trouble. And Jeff is like, no. Which I hate to side with Jeff, but I'm going to side with him.
He was right in this part right here. Yeah. So they move past the plant bravely. And they arrive at the ruins.
And then this man on a horse arrives. He is a Mayan leader. He is yelling at them. They are not speaking any of the same kind of language. Which, okay, if it's me, if I live in a town or village or whatever nearby these ruins, I see it as my duty to make sure these vines don't spread.
Yeah.
And I also know that there are tourists nearby who keep like trying to come to this area.
Yeah.
Other than just being prepared to fucking murder people, maybe I'm going to learn a couple of phrases like poisonous plants. Learn how to say that in multiple languages.
I think the most effective thing to do is to just draw like the vines and like a fucking X or like a death sign next to it, you know, like a skull and bones.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's universal.
But instead he comes out blasting.
with the horse, with a fucking gun, just like.
They're like, oh, we're being charged to see these ruins. That makes sense. Here's money. And then Dimitri gets killed.
Yeah, because he touched the vine.
Yeah.
And he's over there and boom. Yep.
Yeah. And in the midst of all of this, like he touches the vine because he's trying to help Amy, who is taking photos of this argument so that way they can remember it later.
Going in the scrapbook.
As she backs up, she steps into the vines. That's when the guy like really freaks out. Dimitri's like, oh, he does not want you taking pictures. Give me your camera.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's like grabbing the camera, he touches the vines. And because he's coming too close to the Mayan man, he kills him.
You know, and the entire time I was thinking to myself, like, they really want these guys to not be there so they can run away, right? What I would do, take clumps of the vines and just throw them at them.
I think you would have to realize what was happening early on because Amy does throw a vine at a small child later and he gets shot. But by that point, we have so many people around. I think if they tried throwing vines at everybody, like they're outnumbered and the people are going to realize what's happening really fast and it's just going to.
I'm fucking hucking them up there from like the top. Like I'm shielding myself
like
up there.
Snowballs.
Dude, yeah, like it's a strategy. Yeah, I think that's an effective one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is a strategy.
Well, I started off, I was thinking, like, all right, I'll throw bricks. I was like, no, throw the vines. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get to the top, like they're basically forced to run to the top because they don't want to be murdered.
Yeah.
They don't see anybody up there, but they do see like tents and supplies. So that's interesting. Nobody has signal. Matthias did because he had a universal phone, but the Mayan man took it.
Yeah, I didn't see that exchange.
Yeah, he was showing the picture of Heinrich to him, but I didn't see the phone get taken.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Unfortunately, Matthias does find Heinrich in this moment. This is one of those scenes that was cut out from the theatrical release, but he sees a foot and a watch in a pile of vines, and when he pulls back the vines, that's his brother.
Yeah,
and
I can't believe they cut that.
Yeah, and then because especially like we cut to him having his hands being washed by Jeff because they're blistering, and they assume that it's like, oh, he's having a reaction to the plants or something.
Yeah, that was weird. Maybe it was too graphic, but I don't remember that shot being very graphic. Yeah.
They're not sure what to do. Like they're like, do we try and run? And Jeff's like, no, there's no possible way we can get past this single man on a horse that's afraid of this ruin.
This guy probably went to the same school as Larry Gordon, a doctor. He's like, trust me, I'm a doctor. We can't run past these people.
Yeah. Oh my God, that Larry would have for sure been Jeff's attending.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Match
what
made
a
in hell
terrible
right
team.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like the doctor duos that I had for a while there.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, well, the Greeks are supposed to join us, and they're like, no, those guys, they don't even know like up from down. They're so drunk the whole time. And they're like, well, we're supposed to check out tomorrow. They're gonna surely know what's happening. We're supposed to fly back to the States. They'll notice that we're missing. We're American. Jeff is like, all right, no drinking water, and Eric's like, dude, Stacy's thirsty, and he's like, we're all gonna be thirsty soon. You're going to drink my pee.
You're going to like it. They hear a phone ringing, though. Mm-hmm. And it's down in the well. So thankfully they have...
And they know it's Heinrich's phone because it's the same ringtone as Matthias's.
Yeah. So Matthias, he offers to go down there to get the phone.
Look, I get that they probably assumed this was safe because they probably assumed that the archaeologist that got there yesterday had just set this up.
Mm-hmm.
But still... I see something that's been sitting outside exposed to the elements, rope like that. Like, you went on this whole journey with me. I had to go get a new thread because the thread that had been sitting on my sewing machine rotted from sun exposure.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you check some of the rope a little bit? Because it wasn't even that far.
I know,
It wasn't even that far that it was like super fucking frayed.
Yeah, they should. Well, smart doctor man over here should have thought of that one.
Listen,
Didn't think of that one, did you,
He's
Jeff?
a doctor, not a physicist.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So Matthias, that moment too, like, it's so well shot because you see that moment of him being almost suspended midair before just like falling.
Yeah. Yep. Snaps. Falls all the way to the bottom. Dude's fucked up.
And then Jeff says Amy or Stacy needs to go check on him. And Amy's like, why not you? You seem not afraid. He goes, because it takes a man to do that sort of thing. Like, he's like, I run on the beach and I don't want to talk about Eric's physique because it makes me a little insecure, but obviously we're the ones that can turn the pulley. Even though the whole point of the pulley is that it's a simple machine and it utilizes leverage, so you don't have to be super strong to be able to operate it.
Yeah.
But again, Jeff is a doctor, not a physicist.
He's a doctor. He knows, okay? He's smart. Stacy goes down.
Yes, and the rope is not long enough because the people doing this archaeological dig had just enough budget for exactly the right amount of rope to reach the bottom.
Yeah, so she has to jump down, and she falls, and she lands on some glass.
Well, it's the glass from her own lantern that she was holding when she jumped.
Yeah.
That went out.
It cuts her. Oof.
They throw down some matches, which luckily don't land super far away because what the fuck would they do otherwise?
Yeah.
And she sees Matthias and he's like, I can't feel my feet. And she's like, hey guys, his back is broken, which they don't know that in the book. In the book, because the Greek doesn't speak any English really. He's
not Greek though, he's German.
Yes, but it's not Matthias that goes down.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So they're like having to do this whole like figuring it out, but the whole like he shit himself, that's still
He shit himself.
Yeah. She says it smells. She's like, he says he can't feel his feet and also it smells. And they're like what? And she goes, like shit.
Wow, that's not good.
Yeah. At least, in the book, like the Greek couldn't hear them like talking about how he pooped himself. Matthias was just like, he's like, I'm not making a comment on this. Like, I need some dignity.
Yeah. So this is the part where Amy's like, okay, I'm just going to go down there and reason with the people. And she goes down there and she tries to talk to them and she like realizes...
No, that's not what happens. What happens is Jeff is like, all right, we got to make a backboard and pull him up. And Amy's like, absolutely not. We're not doing that. You can't move somebody with a broken back. And Jeff goes, listen, Amy, I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
And then Amy's like, all right, I'm going to go reason with these Mayans down here. Surely they'll care that a man broke his back. I mean, they shot another man right in front of us, but, broken backs is where they draw the line.
Yeah.
It's not.
Nope.
And in fact, when they're mean to her, she gets frustrated and throws a clump of vines and it hits a small child who then gets shot.
Yep.
Right in front of them.
Yep.
It's bad. It's real bad. So they agreed to the backboard idea. And it's really bad. So while she's waiting, Stacy kind of tries to find a ringing, but she can't see much and she's afraid to look around too much, which legit.
Man, in this situation, go for it. Put your fear aside. Go get that phone. You need it.
Her leg also really hurts. She had a huge piece of glass in her knee.
Well, all right. Still.
Amy comes down there with the backboard and they're like, all right, we've got to lift him because there's still not quite enough rope.
Oh, God, yeah.
They tried to make like an extension thing. It was not enough. And then she's like, all right, so we need to move him and keep his back flat so that way we don't cause any further breaks. And he immediately folds.
There's no way to do that.
Mm-mm.
Like, you have to have the stretcher there and just like, slowly slide him over on top of it. But yeah, they can't do that here.
So props to the sound department for this because you just hear the
Ugh, God, man. Yeah, it's so fucked up. But they get him out of there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Jeff is he doesn't want to move him to a tent to give him shelter and coverage. He's like, no, he needs to stay right here. It's we already did too much fucking damage by pulling him up. We're not gonna move him to a tent, and most of all, we're not gonna move a tent to him.
No,
absolutely not. But we do need to keep his legs clean because if it happens, that's how it'll happen. And Eric's like, if what happens, he goes, if he dies, it'll be an infection. Trust me, Eric, I'm a doctor.
Yeah, like, come on. So Jeff actually finds Dimitri's plane ticket, and he's like, hey, he was supposed to go tomorrow morning, so the Greeks will know for sure that he is not there, and they'll get suspicious, and then they'll come here, so we'll be saved.
Yes. They also find keys to the Jeep that they saw at the beginning of their hike. And they're looking for aspirin, which I enjoyed this moment because Jeff is like, hey, everybody, let's split up, see if we can find some aspirin. And they just kind of look at him like, how the fuck is aspirin going to help Matthias? And he's like, to help with the blood flow. Okay.
He's a doctor.
He's a doctor. That does actually make a little bit of sense. So Amy is bandaging Stacy's leg inside the tent, and then they lay down. And then Eric comes in and he lays down, and Stacy handfucks him while Amy's just right fucking there.
She looks so sad about it too. She is so upset that that's like happening in front of her. Like, you're my friend. Why would you do this to me?
I would be sad too. Yeah. And that's why she's like moody and laying outside of the tent. In the morning, Jeff finds another body in a vine pile. We don't know who this person is. Just a guy. Just somebody. Stacy wakes up and she sees that the vine has like curled up onto her leg and into the cut in her leg. Oof. And that makes me more upset than I can properly articulate.
Yeah, this is the one part. This scene right here is the one that gets me because like it's just right there, and Eric is just grabbing it and just pulling more and more out of there. It
just keeps coming out.
Yeah.
And so I had knee surgery 9 years ago, like 9 years and 2 weeks ago to be exact. And I had a nerve block that they do to help with like some of this because they do cut through multiple nerves in your leg. And when the little pouch runs out, you're supposed to pull the tube out. And I remember when the pouch ran out, because my mom had come up to help afterwards. Yeah. And I was just like looking at it and I was like, I'm supposed to pull this out. And like all I could think of was like this scene and like trying to pull this shit out of my leg.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you want me to pull it out? I was like, please. Like, I was like, I can't handle the thought of doing this.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that either.
I couldn't even watch her doing it.
I would do that for you, but I don't know if I could do that to myself.
Yeah, it's absolutely a thing. Like if it had been you, I would have been like, all right, I will do this for you, and I will make disgusted sounds.
Yeah.
I will tell you afterwards how gross it was. Like,
by the way, we're watching The Ruins after this. Yeah, all right. So shit's getting bad.
Yeah, and another problem is that as this is happening, Matthias is like, "Hey, Amy, something's wrong. I feel like something's wrong." Now, this should be the first hint that maybe he's not completely paralyzed.
Feeling his legs? Yeah, he's like, I feel something weird on my legs. And they're like, okay, he's got weird shit on his legs. Clearly, he has filling down there.
Yes. And he's like, will you please just pull the blanket back? And she pulls the blanket back, and the vines were vining. They have
vining
eaten
hard.
A good portion of his legs.
They were way more aggressive to him than they were to her. And his legs weren't even fucked up. He just broke his back.
Yeah,
that's the weird thing.
It's bad. They all freak out and try and get like the vines and stuff. And then this is where they're also realizing that like their clothes are starting to like grow,
get patchy. Yeah,
yeah. It's really gross. They hear the ringing again, and they're like, "All right, Matthias is fucked anyway, so we're just gonna go take care of this phone situation." They send Amy and Stacy down with torches, and they have to go. Like they're like, partner up, stick together. Try not to let the vines eat you. They go into a cave that's all vine when they get down there, because that's where the ringing is. And as they're down there, they get really close to where they think they hear the ringing. Body of the archaeologist pops out on them. That freaks them out. And then they look over and they look into the flowers and they see the little like, they're not antenna because they're flowers.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And they're like rubbing up against each other and making the sound. And then they attack. And it's like a chase scene to get out of this. And I think this was extended too in this version. Because I don't remember this being nearly as like, holy shit.
Yeah. It's also weird. Like the vines just like consume the flame. Do these not burn? They are plants. Would they not burn?
They might like have a different burn point. They might be able to smother. I don't know what they're like. water content is.
Yeah, whatever. Either way, I like
So, I mean,
this
like,
shot.
think about it. Like, if you had like a bunch of wet vines, like from our little like woodsy area back behind our house, we probably wouldn't be able to start a fire with that. It wouldn't catch immediately anyway.
I don't know enough to know.
Okay.
I can't say one way or another.
You're not a doctor or a physicist. You're an accountant.
That's right, and I'm willing to admit that. I like the shot of them like when they're being pulled up though, and you can see like the vines are just kind of like lunging at them from like the well. Well, anyways, they make it up to the top.
Yeah, and they're really freaked out, and they're not saying what happened at first. They're just like, "We need to get the fuck out of here."
Yeah. So this is the part where Matthias is getting like really bad. So Jeff is like, all right, we're totally cutting his legs off because he has made it very clear that he cannot feel anything down there. He has no knowledge of his legs existing anymore.
Yeah, they're all like really, really horrified at this. Like, they're like, you absolutely cannot do that. He goes, it's okay, I'm a doctor. And Eric's like, you are going to start medical school in a couple of months. There's a big difference.
I love it when he calls him out because he's like, dude, like,
it's like
we need
nobody
a fucking
has told
reality
you
check
you're not
here.
a doctor yet.
Yeah. But then they're like, okay, fine, let's take it to a vote.
And then Stacy's like, I vote to do it. And Eric's like, what the fuck? And she goes, he's a doctor. And Eric's like, we just talked about it. And then Matthias is like, hey, I feel like I should get the most important vote. And I say do it.
Yeah.
And so their plan is that they're going to break the bones and then cut through the nerve that's still there. And then they're going to cauterize it. Because when the vines had like attacked him, they put a tourniquet up anyway. So like they don't have to tourniquet. They just need to make sure that he doesn't have continued blood loss. So Jeff starts breaking the bones. And it is very clear that Matthias is feeling it. And, you know, he goes through, he does the first leg, cuts it off, cauterizes it. Matthias is saying, no, please no more. And Jeff is like, all right, on to the second one. And Eric is like, dude, what the fuck? And he goes, he's just freaked out because he can see it. And these are not the screams of a person that's like freaked out watching something. These are the screams of somebody going, ow, that hurts.
So there is a thing, though, the phantom limb situation, I think, could apply here. Like, you are so used to seeing that, and like I've seen like people do experiments of that before, like where like here's your arm on this side, it's safe, here's like a fake arm here, it looks like it's your arm, but like I'm gonna hit with this hammer and you're gonna think that you're feeling that pain, but you actually are not feeling anything.
But I think there's a big difference in how you'd react from that versus like actually feeling it.
Yeah, probably. Like, it wouldn't like, you would realize like after some time that it's not real. I would think. I don't know. I've never experienced it, but like there is like truth to what he's saying, at least.
Yeah, but I think it's also very likely that although he had a bad back break, it didn't necessarily mean he was
paralyzed.
Yeah.
No, and I think that is the case here. I think that he actually is feeling that stuff, and it's fucked up. Also, it's way more fucked up in the unrated cut of this. Like, you see a lot more of this play out, and it is gnarly. They did a great job on that fake leg.
And like they were showing like close up of the prosthetics and the behind the scenes, and there's like pieces of gravel just like embedded in it.
Man, it's such a good detail.
The Jason Baird, he was like, and honestly, like the dirtier these got, the better they looked. Like he was so excited about it.
Great job on those.
So later that night, Amy is really worried about Stacy because she is not acting well. She keeps saying that she thinks there's a vine inside of her, like some of it was left, and they keep trying to tell her it's fine. And, you know, Eric's like, I'm worried about her too, but we've got to find a way out of here. And Amy's like, I agree, we need to find a way out of here. So it's kind of like they're forming a little alliance. Like, all right, we got to figure out how to take down Dr. Jeff and also keep Stacy calm enough to go along with us. But the vines, rascals that they are, start mimicking their voices and distorting it to make it sound like they are sexing.
Man, yeah. I wasn't sure. I thought that maybe like the vine was having some weird effect because it was inside her head, but the fact that like she actually did hear that, it's like a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it like I don't know how like, and I guess hearing you say that you weren't entirely sure. This is one of those advantages of having read the book because that is absolutely what happened in the book.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think that. Like, I don't think I saw the plants doing that here.
Yeah. I don't remember if it was this exact like grouping of people, but I remember the vines were like distorting like words and sounds and stuff to kind of like make them fight each other.
Well, that does happen later in the movie too. Like clearly it does with her. Yeah.
So she comes out and she's yelling at them. She's pissed. This gets Jeff involved. They're all just like arguing, and in the meantime, Matthias is just like choked to death by these vines.
Yeah. Oh, and before when they got like his legs cut off, like the vines like dragged his legs away, which was so fucking weird. Yeah, that's mine. Yours.
Yeah. It's like Zoe trying to like steal a piece of food off the table. Then Stacy panics all over again seeing this. I love Eric's moment here. He goes, thank God we cut off his legs.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because now he's just like, if he makes it off of this ruin alive, now he's just like a person that has helped cut off another person's legs. He just has to live with that. And he's not a doctor.
He's not. No, it's not going to go well for him. Hopefully he's an accountant. It'll be fine if that's the case.
So Stacy starts panicking all over again, and she's like, look, we need to cut me open. There are definitely vines moving. I swear to God.
And this is the part where the vines start mimicking, because it's like she's like saying, you're not listening to me, and then it just like keeps repeating, you're not listening to me. It's like mocking her almost.
The next morning, we see the Mayans are salting the earth around the ruins. And then they're realizing that birds and insects don't seem to land there. So these vines have to have been here for a long time.
I think it would have been funny if they like started setting up like booths and shit out there, like attractions for the family, inflatables. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's like a fun time.
Like it's just their block party or something.
If I were to do a parody, that's what I would do. Like it slowly becomes like a more like an amusement park type thing out there, like a fair.
Like we got that one guy selling like inflatable aliens because there's one of those everywhere.
Yeah, and there's like Pokemon stuffed toys out there. Yeah.
So Eric comes out to talk to Jeff and Stacy, and he's like, "Come," and they go into the tent, and he goes, Stacy, show him. And this is where we see the vines moving around. It's upsetting, again, in a way I can't fully articulate. So they're going to do a little mini surgery.
Yep, they're going to do some incisions, and they're going to just rip the vines out.
So they get the one from her leg, and then they get the one from her back. There was a second one in her leg that they chose not to out loud acknowledge because you could see it like on her hip area as they're doing the back. And then she's like, I still feel like there's some in me. Like, and Amy's like, no more cutting today. No more cutting. She goes, no, I feel like there's more in me. And then we see across her forehead.
So it's like later, I think it's like the next day or whatever. Everybody's asleep, and Stacy.
No, it's Eric says he's gonna make a run for it that night.
Oh yeah, he's done. He's not waiting. He's like, nobody's coming. We're getting out of here. I'm getting out of here regardless.
So they all agree. Okay, that night, Jeff can even find a rational argument for this. So they're taking a nap for the day, and as they're napping, Stacy wakes up, and she sneaks out. She looks for the knife. And she is just cutting, and she's just trying to pull these vines out of herself. And again, this is one of those things that switched the characters, and I think it was partially because they had to like the abbreviated time to develop up all of the emotional relationships between these.
Yeah.
I see why they had Stacy doing this instead of Eric.
Yeah, I can see it.
Because she's more of a central figure for more of the characters in this.
Yeah.
So she is like cutting, and they all wake up, and they just see her like a wreck. And Jeff tries to get the knife from her, and she kind of like turns around, swats at him, cuts his hand, and then Jeff and Eric swap out. And I don't think Stacy realizes that they had swapped out because Jeff comes for it, or because Eric comes for the knife, and she turns around and stabs him.
You think she was trying to actually stab Jeff?
I mean, wouldn't you by this point?
Yeah, but like, I thought it was just like she was. Obviously blood loss, like some weird like things are going on in her head, so it wasn't like a decision like that she really wanted to do. It was just an accident.
Yeah, no, I think it was just like a reaction. I think she was trying to just like swat again.
Yeah.
And Eric was a lot closer because he was like, Stacy won't hurt me.
She also did it more in a stab motion than a slash motion.
I really think it was like a turnaround, like, leave me alone. Like, I think that's what she was going for.
Yeah.
And that's not what happened.
You need to respect the knife, people.
Yeah. Yeah, and so he dies.
He's dead.
And he gets pulled into the vines. And then Stacy is distraught. She realizes that she's got so many vines in her. She begs Amy to kill her, and Amy's like, I absolutely can't. And Jeff's like, I can.
Yeah, I'm a doctor. It's okay. Like, you won't feel this. You don't have feelings in
And
your
then
legs.
instead of using the knife, he just like takes the rock and like bashes her head over and over again.
Yeah. Jesus, man.
So
Jeff and Amy are like, okay, we're definitely getting away tonight. We'll do it. So they're doing their little plan here. They're coming up with a plan.
he just like is gently taking her best friend's blood and
Yeah.
covering her face with it.
I don't question it at this point. It's like, okay, like I don't think that this is part of the plan. I think he's just a fucking psycho at
he's
this
just-
point.
Yeah, he's more of a rascal than these vines.
Yeah. And then we cut to like the next day, and he is carrying her body down as if she's dead.
He starts lecturing these Mayan people.
Yeah.
And I feel like even them were like, dude, what is this guy's deal?
Yeah, I don't know, but they're listening. He's captivating. Somehow he's got their attention.
He's like, my name is Jeff. I'm a doctor. Always wanted to be a doctor. I'm gonna be the best doctor. I'm the only one that matters here. But I guess if you want to know, my girlfriend over there, her name is Amy. That's their secret keyword. Is just her name.
Yes.
She goes running. They shoot Jeff. She gets to the Jeep. She drives off. Now, her driving off, that's where the theatrical version ends.
Yeah.
Oh
wait, no, it also ends with the
unrated version ends with
No, I'm talking about the Greeks showing up.
Okay.
The Greeks ended up actually showing up after all.
Yeah. The Greeks do show up after the driving off. Now in the unrated version, her driving off does still happen. The Greeks do still show up, but Amy's driving off is a little bit longer because we cut to her face and we see vines just squiggling their way up. Then there's like an alternate ending where we see that they all died. We're at a graveyard.
Yeah, it's the same as that where you see the squiggle there again.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to a graveyard.
And we see the grave's groundskeeper is like going around cleaning up, stuff and everything. And he sees Amy's tombstone and there is a vine.
And I like that. That's such a good ending. I wish that they kept that.
In the book, everybody dies.
It doesn't involve that part.
I don't remember how everybody goes. It's been a while since I've read the book, but in the book, everybody does die.
Okay.
I double checked that.
Yeah, there's like 3 endings to this. Like,
yeah, those were the 3 endings.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were a lot of different options for how it ended. I like the unrated version where it's just like we don't need confirmation that she died. We know she's gonna die.
Well, that's not the part that I like. I like the part that like the vine grew with her body from there, and it looks like it's like a flower that somebody dropped off at the tombstone. Like that's a great touch right there. I like that a lot.
Okay, so that's it.
Okay. I'm keeping mine at an 8.5. Like, it's a really, really fucking good movie. I like this movie a lot.
I'm gonna keep mine at a 9. What would you do to bump yours up just a little bit?
That's tough. I really don't know what I would do differently with this one. I really don't know, man. I would keep that alternate ending.
Okay, alternate ending.
That ending was like really, really good. I think like it ended it better for me.
There was one more scene that was cut that I see why it was cut, but it did kind of give Jeff a little bit of a personality.
Yeah.
Where they were so excited about the rain, and Amy suggests that they do like a celebratory shot of tequila. And Jeff is like, no, we're going to get more dehydrated. And everybody's like, dude, you're such a fucking buzzkill.
Yeah, it's like, you suck.
And then he agrees to do a shot if Stacy does a shot. And then he also agrees to dance.
The funny thing about that is like they're like, okay, he reluctantly takes a drink, but then he takes like 3 more. And like, what if he finished the whole bottle in front of him? Like none of them got the drink because of that.
And there's also like an extension of him and Amy talking about their escape plan, and she, was talking about how she wants to do a road trip with him, and all of the things they want, for their future.
It ain't working.
No.
Sorry, Amy. Even after this event where you think you could maybe trauma bond, no.
Okay, so dream sequel.
All right, dream sequel. Well, I think we pick up from that alternate ending where the vines have made its way to the States and at the graveyard.
Ooh, what if somebody's there like at a funeral, but it's like a funeral for, I don't know, maybe it's like their brother or somebody who was like a murderer, so like nobody else wants to show up to the funeral, so it's just like them, the priest, and like a member of the murder victim's family.
Yeah.
That's like confronting. Like, so we've got a small setting. They're in the graveyard. Then they see this plant, and like something happens that gets them like trapped, surrounded by these vines.
Ooh, what if there's got to be some kind of like a nature, like a maybe like a fire or something that's like got them like surrounded or something. I don't know.
So something happens and they end up trapped.
Yeah, they're trapped there. Yeah. So it's gonna remain a single location movie.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's part of the scariness of it.
Okay. You can make that work.
So Talia, she was pretty sleepy during this.
Yeah.
She was pretty sleepy. I think this scares her because she's allergic to a lot of nature.
She is, but she is also super curious about all that nature too.
Yeah.
She's not afraid to go sniff it.
It's a problem.
That's what's scary to her here is she'll sniff that vine and it's just gonna grow on her.
Yeah. And it'll probably bark at her.
We'll bark at her. Yeah. It'll like tease her. Yeah.
So
it'll like mock like the sound of like a bag of crackers opening.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She goes running for it. She's like, God, I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
So I think maybe Talia would give this a 9 because it sounds like vine.
Okay. I think Zoe's Ultimate Warrior is queer here. I think it's the vines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoe is also a rascal who just wants to feed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
What would Dom Toretto do?
So I've been thinking about this. And the whole thing is like he will swing on vines. Like in Fast and Furious 8, he's gonna get a car and swing his way off of there.
So are the vines gonna become part of their family? Because they always take the enemy and turn them into part of the family.
Tej and Cypher will like keep a sample and they'll weaponize it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, but all he needs is like a car on top, which Vin Diesel isn't walking to the top of the ruins, he drives to the top of the ruins.
And then Bama Boy and Twinkie want to take some of the vine and do some testing with it in space. See if it can grow in those conditions.
Perfect. That's it. So
okay.
If you throw vines into the equation, Vin Diesel's going to swing on him with a car. All right, that's just the easy answer.
Did you say Cypher? Cypher is Charlize Theron. You're thinking
of, it's not Cypher. Ramsey.
Ramsey.
Yeah, Ramsey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, I could see Ramsey and Tej doing some stunts.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right. All right, we got to do tagline.
Okay. This vacation is ruined.
Oh, that's good.
I was gonna like do something dumb like creeping terror or whatever, but
no, that's great.
Too lame.
That's perfect. I love that. This vacation's ruined. It's so good, man. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I think
Who did you relate to?
Yeah, that's it. I related to Eric.
Okay.
I don't know. He doesn't. At that age, I think because like that's like right out of college. I feel for them.
Yeah, they're all about like 22. That's Jeff's about to go to med school. It's implied they're all the same age.
Yeah, I wasn't taking shit that seriously either. I was just kind of there to like I was wanting to have fun.
Okay.
You know. Yeah. I mean that's pretty much it. You don't want to see Jeff, do you?
No, God, I don't relate to Jeff though.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not that much of a buzzkill.
No, you furthered your education.
God, I guess I'd probably relate to Stacy because I feel like once I saw one vine in me, I would never have peace again.
Yeah, paranoid. I would be the same. Yeah.
Plus, we said that they seemed like a real fun couple, and I think we're a real fun couple.
I agree. Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool.
I've got a review.
Okay.
And this was interesting because a lot of times when you go to the 1-star reviews, it's people going like, "This movie's stupid," and you're like, "Okay, I don't know what to do with that." But this time, I was like, "This movie is different from the book, and here are the reasons I have problems with that."
Okay.
So that was actually pretty interesting to work with. So I've got one of those reviews.
Cool. I respect that kind of take.
This is a little bit longer than I normally do, but they brought up a lot of good points.
That's fine. Go for it.
Love the book. The movie is severely lacking. 1 out of 10. This was rated back in 2021.
Okay,
So more recent.
Yeah.
I guess killer vines aren't easy to translate onto the big screen. I've read the book over and over since it came out when I was in high school. I love it so much that I own 2 copies, a hardcover and a small portable copy. Many others who I have recommended it to really enjoy it. Okay, nerd. 2 copies. That's why it's so frustrating to see what a failure this movie was, which is a shame since the author helped write most of the script. He swapped the characters around in the film and removed most, if not all, of their backstory. I understand a movie cannot fully embody the essence of a book, but while reading, you become familiar and somewhat attached to the characters, which allows you to relate with them in a chilling way that leaves you a bit unsettled when they're being tortured and killed off by this sentient plant. It is sentient.
I'm not buying it.
In the movie, I could not bring myself to care about what happens to these people as I have zero emotional investment to them, nor do I even gain any interest in them as they are the most bland characters I've ever seen in a film besides Twilight. You need to watch Twilight. They could have discussed the hardships of no food or drink, missing their families, or spoken more about their hopes and dreams for when they get back home. Literally anything besides the wasted screen time of just staring at each other while showing limited emotional or realistic reactions to the events around them. What's worse, they not only stripped the characters of their personality, and honestly, the vine of its personality in the book, but then shuffled them around for no discernible reason. It was done in a very forced way that didn't feel natural, especially when their fates and form of death were also mismatched. In the book, the Greek is the one who breaks his back. This creates a haunting experience since we don't know what's wrong with him right away because he can't speak English to tell the others how severely he's hurt. Extra unsettling is the fact that he cannot communicate with any of them to consent having his legs amputated, creating a very squeamish and gut-wrenching chapter in the book. The film adaptation removes this horrific factor by making Matthias the one to fall. They immediately figure out he broke his back, and then Matthias begs the other to cut off his legs. That's only one example of many things that went wrong and caused this movie to fall completely flat. I won't even waste my time explaining how disappointed I was that the vines were laughable at best rather than terrifying entity described in the book. Lastly, the fact that Amy survives is an absolute joke. In the book, there are no survivors. A very chilling end to a depressing story. The whole "we need a happy ending for the audience" was the final unrealistic bow slapped on top of this flop of a film. They were going to choose to allow someone to survive, and they should have included the unreleased ending, which was much more haunting and realistic, showing how deadly and intrusive these vines are.
Agree.
Overall, I'm disappointed in Ben Stiller and Scott Smith.
How dare you?
Overall, I'm disappointed in Ben Stiller and Scott Smith for failing to create a movie that even suggests a proper attempt of doing the book any justice. Translating a far-fetched idea onto the big screen is something that cannot be skimped on. You had the money to do it and do it right, but this was not it.
You know, I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start, like, anytime anything's, like, I don't agree with the decision a movie makes. Why did you do this, Ben Stiller? I am so disappointed in Ben Stiller.
I think some of those like deleted scenes in the alternate ending and the stuff we got in the unrated version, I think would have helped address some of those concerns.
Yeah, I can see that.
And like I said, I'd need to reread the book to like really analyze some of the decisions they made to switch around. Because I agree, in the book, it is absolutely like gut wrenching, all of the stuff that happens with Dimitri when he falls and breaks his back. It's horrifying. I don't know how well it would translate to screen.
That's the thing. I can't speak to that because I haven't read the book, but from what I've heard from you and that person, like I can like that does sound interesting. Like the language barrier there, something's wrong, you don't know what's wrong. That is scary. But I also agree with what you were saying before. Like you need to be able to move that story because this is a movie. We got less time. Like if you make it Matthias, then like we can get past that point quicker, and it still has most of the effect. Yes,
and it also helps with other characters' developments as well.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, if, you know, we had it from a non-book reader's perspective watching this movie and we see the Greek person, we'd be like, wow, they just went straight to cutting this man's legs off. I just don't think it would have translated as well because Jeff is cold and calculating in this moment. And it really does come across as a lot more psychotic.
If he does that, then that's like super psychotic. If they like bring him, all right, the legs are getting out of here.
Which you can have a lot more back and forth in the book, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's just one of those things. And like, I get it. I am a book person for sure. But if you want to be a book and a movie person, you have to learn to kind of critically analyze why these changes are made.
Yeah.
And if there are some that seem frivolous, absolutely call that out. That's fair. But, you know, sometimes they're not frivolous.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm sure the author of the book had his reasons for making these changes.
Yes. I don't think anybody could be more attached to the characters than him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, whatever. I mean, those make sense.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
I
how
really
about-
wish Scott Smith had been part of the special features, because they even had like a section in Making the Ruins
Yeah.
where they were talking about the differences between the movie and the book.
It's weird that he wasn't
Yeah.
brought in on that.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit. I would have liked to hear some of his rationale for things.
Okay. Well, let's see what other people think about this movie.
Let's see.
Yeah. All right. So let's start off with Lord Zombie, who says, "I don't care what anyone says. This was a good movie." So does this movie have a reputation for not being good?
It's kind of got like mid reviews. It's a 5.9 on IMDb.
That's just shocking to me. I've always thought it's good.
Again, I really think it comes from people who read the book and can't handle the differences between the book and the movie.
Okay. So he goes on to say, the start was so-so, but after they hit the ruins, it got pretty good. The idea of the killer plants was pretty cool. I say give it a chance.
That rhymed. Good job.
Hey, way to go. Salty Soul says, the leg scene always gets me crazy. Can't believe they just cut the leg that way.
Yeah.
That is so fucking gnarly. Yeah, that one, like, both leg scenes, honestly.
Yeah, I was going to say which one.
Yeah, Matthias is big time, and also big time for Stacy's. That one is gnarly. And then Marnie, who says, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Right there on the IMDb.
Yeah.
Line right there, and that's that's good. We got all of the
I got the full range.
Yeah, we did. We hit it. All right. Well, thanks everybody for dropping the reviews.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that.
We had a lot of fun with this movie. We hope you guys did too.
Mhm.
Next week we are discussing Smile.
Yeah, smile. So be happy.
Oh boy.
You don't have a choice. You have to smile. It's just how that goes, unfortunately. I know for a fact you can watch this on Paramount.
I'm pulling up the list just to double check.
Okay.
So right now it's streaming on Paramount Plus, Netflix, Prime Premium, or you can rent it from YouTube, Google Play, Apple TV, or Fandango at home.
Yeah. So check it out if you haven't seen it. Definitely recommend giving that one a watch.
It's a really good one. Honestly, like, we thought it looked stupid based on the trailer. Like, oh man, it's a demon that smiles at you. And like, I think part of that to blame is the Blumhouse Truth or Dare.
Yeah, well, they fucked that one up.
But it's actually a really good movie.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, give it a chance if you've just kind of been deterred by the premise.
And if you need more prompting, I've got 2 words for you. Kyle Gallner.
That's right. He is in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We want to go ahead and thank our Patreons, our bubbies.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Bestest bubbies.
We have Joe,
Freakatron.
as is his name, Amber, Michael, Tyler, Horde Zombie, Chad, Johnny, and Jason.
Bow, 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 bow.
Thanks everybody for being patrons. We really, really appreciate the support. You guys are the best, and you help us do this and support the show and
Support the Trevor Project with
support,
our June earnings.
donation. Yeah. So thanks everybody for doing that. If you are unable to do that, we totally get it. But there's all kinds of ways you can help the show. You can rate us on whatever platform you listen on.
Mm-hmm.
You can share episodes. You can just let anybody know. You know, if anybody's into the ruins, send them this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super easy, and we appreciate any little thing that we get from you guys. So thanks, guys.
Absolutely, yes. If you want to show support in other ways, just by rating, reviewing, and subscribing, and following us on social media is another one that helps too. We are on Instagram and Threads at Least Favorite Scary Movie Podcast. We're on Blue Sky at Least Fave Pod. Our website's what's your least favorite scary movie.com. You can email us at leastfavoritescarymovie@gmail.com.
That's right. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you guys next week.
Until then,
Bye.
bye.
Hold on a second. Ty was out there walking around.